what a miserable day in Northampton. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country. I've had to put the light on, it's raining, it's miserable. So this is the best way to combat the miserable weather, is have a bit of fun and talk about music. So welcome to Tuesday on RTO, and today is a viewers day really. Everything that we're doing today is viewers requests, challenges. So first up is a guy that I talk to a lot, a guy called Lee. I can't remember which band we were talking about, and he said, have you heard of the Heavy Metal Kids? And I went, no, but I'll check them out. I checked them out, and I thought, yeah, these are worth a mention, because you know they've made 4 really good albums, and it included a singer that went on to become an actor, but sadly died in the middle of filming. So the Heavy Metal Kids, formed in 1970 by 2 bands coming together, one called Heaven and the other one called Biggles. They took their name from a gang of street kids featured in a novel called Nova Express by William S. Burroughs, and the band, when they got together, was Mickey Waller on guitar, Ronnie Thomas on the bass and vocals, Gary Holton, the actor who played Wayne in A Vida Same Pets, Keith Boyce, Cosmo. They were signed to Atlantic Records, and they were one of the first bands from their London offices, having been spotted by the A&R man Dave D. So in 1974 they produced their first album. Then we had a few band changes, and they split up. They got back together again, and so they made 4 albums. They've had some interesting people in the band. John Sinclair, who went on to do keyboards with Uriah Heep. Ricky Squires, that had been with the Dead End Kids. So they've had some people going through the ranks. So they produced 4 albums, studio albums. So let's have a look at these albums. So coming in at number 4 then was their 3rd album from 1977, Kitsch. This was on Rat Records, produced by Mickey Most, and it featured Keith Boyce on the drums, Gary Holton on vocals, a guy called Barry Paul on guitar, John Sinclair and Ronnie Thomas. Okay, the first track, Overture. It is an overture. It's a piano and keyboard thing. It's quite quirky, not bad at all. Then we get Chelsea Kids. Yeah, not a bad little track. Got some decent guitar riffs in it and a pretty good solo. From Heaven and to Hell and Back Again. Solid rocker. What lets this track down though is the vocals by Gary Holton. I don't know if he'd lost his voice. It just didn't sound right, unfortunately. But it didn't spoil the track. It's still a great little rocker. Cry for Me. Nice Hammond keyboard from John Sinclair on this. He's a terrific keyboard player. I actually saw Uriah Heep when he was in the band, and he is a damn good keyboard player. Again, Gary Holton's voice is a little bit iffy. Then we get a great track, She's No Angel. Great bass line. It's funky, it's quirky, It's truly a really good track. Jackie the Lad. This is a bit of a weird one. This is more like a knees up with Chaz and Dave than a serious rock record. It doesn't belong on the album. Docking in. All I'll say about this track, it's got a good guitar solo, great burst of keyboard, and some great drumming. The singing in it is just not very good. Squalor Day In, my favourite track on this album. The opening riff sounds like All Right Now, Now I'm Here, sorry, from Queen, and then you get some nice keyboard work from John Sinclair. A really good track, and Gary's voice sounds pretty good on this. Hey Little Girl, another good track. You can tell Mickey Most has produced this album. It's got that feel from the sound he got from Hot Chocolate and Murd, Susie Quattro. It's a very good track. The piano work though reminds me of an old song from the early 70s, Mouldy Old Dough by Lieutenant Pigeon. If you remember that one, if you're of a certain age. So it's got that feel to it as well. It's really good track. The last track, great rock and roll track called Delirious. Pretty good stuff. Okay, this album is a mixed bag, I think. For some reason Gary's vocals were not particularly on fire at times. He sounded like, listening to it, he was struggling. Doesn't mind it's a bad album, because it's not a bad album. I'd say out of the four, this is to me the weakest one, but it has still got some great tracks on it. But I'll give it an RTO ranking of 6 out of 10, because it is a very good album. Okay then, coming in at number 3, second album from 1975, Anvil Chorus. This features Keith Boyce on drums, Danny Perrone, who went on to keyboard with UFO, Ronnie Thomas, Gary Holton. This is a really good album. Fantastic stuff. First track is called Hard at the Top. I love the start to this. It's got a really good drum beat. It's got some great piano work from Danny. It's just a really great track. Gary's vocals are fantastic on this. It's got that very down-to-earth sounding voice. Really good track. You Got Me Rolling. The bass line in this again is really driving, funky. The sound of the mid-70s rock. Truly a great guitar. Got some really good guitar riffs. And a fantastic track. On the Street, solid, good strong song. Love the piano work in this one as well. It's just from that era. I mean, at that time you had bands like Bad Company, and then you still got Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, Mark Bolan's Mudslide. It's all got that really sound from that period. Really good song. Situations Out of Control. Nice arrangement, but I don't think Gary Holton's voice on this one is particularly strong. I would have loved to have seen someone like Mark Boland or David Bowie singing this one, because they had the voice for that song. It's a great song, but I don't think Gary could sing that one very well. Blue Eyed Boy, great track. Gary Holton sounds better on this, so fantastic. Tongue tied. Just need a drink as well. It is a good track. Then we come to my favourite track on the album. It's called Old Tom Boogie. This is a track, it reminds me of The Faces. I can just imagine Rod singing this one, and it's got a pretty cool sax solo on it. Then we got the Turk, Ain't What He Smoke. Great drumming on this. This is a more instrumental. It's got some screeching guitar riffs, thumping bass line, good rock song. Then we get Crisis, great drumming from Keith on this. And what this track is actually built around the drum rolls and the drum fills, and it works really well. Even the vocals sound good on this. Then we get a nice little track called The Cops Are Coming. Great track. Reminds me of something that the Sensational Alex Harvey band would have done. It's got that storytelling in it as well. It's really, really good. Great track. Then we get The Big Fire. This one's okay. It's not the best track on the album. I don't know if it's a bit of filler for me. It's the last track. Okay, this album, very solid. Got some really good tracks on it, and I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it. I mean, the first time I listened to it, I thought, "Cool, what have I missed out here? Why have I not heard of this band?" I'm glad I have, and thank you for Lee for putting me onto them, because they are really good. So for this album, I'll give it an RTO ranking of 7 out of 10. Very solid album. Okay, then coming in at number 2. This is an album, the last one they ever made, came out in 2003. Hit the Right Button. So this is the comeback album. Keith Boyce is still there. Danny Peronello came back. Ronnie Thomas is there. So you got 3 of the main members from the band, and they brought in on guitars a guy and vocals who was also the engineer on this, a guy called Marco Guarnero. This is a terrific album. I would say it's one of the best comeback albums I've heard in a long time. I mean, it's a hit the right button. They certainly did. This is a very underrated album. The first track, Message, I like this track. It's a great little rocker. It's just brilliant. Girl of My Dreams, got some solid riffs in this. Another solid song. Great performance vocally. This guy's a pretty good singer. Blow It Away, love the riffs on this. Solid heavy track, just proper raw and clear. That's all I'll say about that. It is a solid track. Hit the Right Button, Make the Elevator Stop. Again, great boogie, catchy tune. Love the drums in this. Terrific song. Wildlife, really good track. This Marco, great guitar player. His riffing is terrific on this song. Fantastic. Then we get a thing called New York Street Life. It's basically the sounds of New York, you know, taxis, people talking, cop sirens, and then you get this bit of Spanish guitar on top. I don't know what the connection is, but it sounds very good. But it goes straight into a track called Viva New York. Really good rocker, great drum beat, one of the best tracks on the album, in fact. I Walk Alone, another great track, some nice riffs, terrific stuff, very solid, really gets your feet going. Cruel World. What drives this song is that bass line again. Ronnie Thomas is a great bass player. He's been there all the time. I've listened to, I listened to it under the headphones. He's very solid, very tight. Him and Keith Boyce, a really good engine room. Very tight, and they seem to know what's going on between them. Very good track. Then we get my favourite track on the album, a thing called Whiskey. I just love the riffs in this, the driving bass, the thumping of the drum. It's a great track. 100 Skeletons, very good song. Guitar solo in this is superb. Can't get any better. Gotham City. This track reminds me of something that the Almighty and Black Star Riders would have done, but very good, very good. This album, as I said, is probably one of the most underrated comeback albums ever made. It truly rocks, and it's just a shame they didn't make any more albums. And that they did do a comeback on tour, and they had John Altman, who played Nick Cotton, singing. Now I've put one of them songs in the playlist. He was friends with Gary Holton, so this is interesting. So I give this album an RTO ranking of 8 out of 10. I love it. Great album. So coming in at number 1 then is the debut album from 1974, Heavy Metal Kids. This featured Mickey Waller on guitar, Ronnie Thomas, Gary Holton, Keith Boyce, Cosmo and Danny Perone. Don't know how you pronounce his name. What a debut album. How this was under the radar, I don't know, because they're a very underrated band, and it's such a shame because they sounded really good. Okay, the first track, Hanging On. Love this guitar work on this. Great little rocker. Grinding, foot tapping, brilliant stuff. Ain't It Hard. Great track. Gary Holton's voice on this is absolutely dynamite. He was a fresh young lad then, so the drugs hadn't kicked in, so it's a terrific song. It's the same. This is very mellow. It's got some great drum touches, very delicate, nice melody on the keyboard. Super track. Run Around Eyes. This has got a bit of a reggae feel to it. Got a great driving bass line from Ronnie. Really makes you nod the head, and it's a great track. Then we got my favourite track, and I'd say this is my favourite track by Heavy Metal Kids. We Gotta Go. This is something straight out of David Bowie and the Spiders from Mars. It's absolutely brilliant, stunning track. It's in the playlist, of course, because it is fantastic. Always Plenty of Women. Very good classic rock from the mid-70s. Very Faces, Bad Company, that sort of sound. Really good. Nature of My Game. This is probably one of the best bass lines, and the double guitar work from Cosmo and Waller is brilliant, and this song reminds me of Nazareth. It's just a great track. Kind Woman, another great track from them periods. It's in the mould of a David Bowie, Mark Bolan sort of song. Fantastic. Rock and Roll Man, a classic to me. This is a very underrated track from a very underrated band. And then we get a little reprise of We Gotta Go. I don't know why bands put a little bit of another track on. Is it just to fill up the tape? Who knows? Okay, this album is a little gem from the 70s, and I recommend you go out and find it. It's on Spotify. for starters. Go and check this band out. If you like something different and you like that 70s sound, check it out, and check out their last album, because that's a great rocker. Very, very good debut album. So I'll give it an RTO ranking of 8.5. Very, very good band. And thank you for Lee for suggesting it. And I still can't understand why I've never heard of these. There isn't many bands that I haven't heard of, but this one slipped my mind, and I'm so glad that I found them now, because yes, they are in my on my library in Spotify. Okay, I've put a few tunes in a playlist. Go and have a listen to them. Make your comments, because if you're like me, never heard of this band, I'd like to know what people that have not heard of this band, what they think of it. And if there's fans out there, tell me what you think of my ranking, because I'm not the big fan. I've done this on listening to them. I think I listened to all these albums about 3 or 4 times over a period of a couple of weeks, and I really like them anyway. So yeah, they're a good band. They're not bad albums at all. Okay, that's one viewer show done. The next one is a status quo one. Someone threw down the gauntlet to me, and I of course responded. So I'll be back for that later. See you for that. See you laters.